Recognizing the member from Vernon-Monashee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you. Before I begin my response, I would like to acknowledge that today I am standing and speaking to all of you from the unceded and traditional territory of the Lekwungen-speaking nations, today known as and represented by Esquimalt and Songhees nations. And I do thank them for their stewardship of this land. Madam Speaker, I also want to express my thoughts and send prayers to people of Ukraine. I cannot believe that this is happening in 2022. We have learned from our history that war hurts many innocent people, even the troops and their families from both sides. And war leaves devastating impacts for years to come on many generations. I stand united with everyone and pray for peace on earth. And my response to budget, Madam Speaker, it is my honor to be standing here as an MLA for people of Vernon-Monashee, and I am always truly grateful for that opportunity. And I wholeheartedly speak in favor of Budget 2022. We all know that last year has been tougher and more challenging even than 2020, as we faced ongoing pandemic with rising cases, new variants, ongoing opioid crisis, more loss of lives than fires, heat dome, floods, and major damage to the roads and infrastructure. I can imagine how challenging it must have been for the Finance Minister, Treasury Board, and staff to create this budget while they kept people at the front and center of their decision-making by continued focus on improving vital services, investments, and infrastructure, climate action, and economic recovery, while ensuring not to implement any cuts on vital services or layoff. Our BC NDP government had to step in to deal with crisis after crisis during the most challenging times in province's history, and needed to invest in people, businesses, tourism industry, healthcare, mental health, and recovery after major catastrophic events. I am proud.
Just a moment, please. Could I remind members to wear their masks properly? Thank you. Please proceed. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you. I am proud that despite many challenges, our government has done a great job. And it's not only me who's saying that for being a member of government, Madam Speaker. I get many calls, cards, and emails from constituents who applaud the work of our BC NDP government. I will read a small part of one of those emails. This message is from one of my constituents, James, and I quote, MLA Sandhu, as the democratically elected member of the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia for my riding, I am writing to you to convey my thanks and support for the way your party has handled this pandemic. You managed to balance the fine and public health, the economy, and social pressure. And for that, most of us are grateful, end quote. And this email was very kind and long, but I only sharing one quote. Madam Speaker, despite the challenges we have faced and unprecedented significant investments our government had to make to support people, services, and economy, this budget provides record level of capital spending that will strengthen BC economic recovery and support opportunities across the province by building environmental, social, and economic planning directly into capital investments. We are ensuring a future where all British Columbians have the opportunity to thrive. Whether it means more affordable childcare spaces, more accessible green transportation, options for equal opportunities for employment, investments into BC's infrastructure are working to build stronger BC. Over the next 3 years, taxpayer-supported capital spending will total $27.4 billion, helping to create 100,000 well-paying jobs in communities throughout BC, reduce our infrastructure carbon footprint through low-carbon building technologies, designs, and practices, and green transportation, create employment and apprenticeship training opportunities in local communities, particularly for traditionally underrepresented groups who want to build a career in the trades, advance reconciliation with Indigenous people, ensure access to services people depend on, like healthcare services, safe places for kids to learn, support our trade corridor and business to keep goods and people moving. The capital plan grows our province's social, economic, and environmental strengths, setting BC up to work through the challenges ahead and build our economic resilience. Under flooded recovery and fires, Madam Speaker, we are investing $2.1 billion to build back better from fires and floods and to protect people and communities from future climate-related disasters. That includes $1.5 billion in funding to rebuild from last year's floods and wildfires, and more than $600 million to strengthen our readiness and respond to future wildfires, floods, and extreme weather events. Madam Speaker, my riding and some people from my riding in Vernon-Monashee and Okanagan, people were affected by fires. And as I was driving last week, thinking spring is coming, got very excited. And then I started to worry about what will summer hold for us. And I was hoping that we won't have to face fires or similar catastrophic events as we did in 2021. And these investments, this $2.1 billion investment, it brings back the hope, and I am hopeful and optimistic that we will see the difference. And as Premier said, that we should focus on fighting fires all year long, and this provides me great reassurance. It is ironic to hear criticism from members of the opposition who seem to be so confused during question period when they criticize our government for not spending enough or more, and then later in budget speeches and on social media like Twitter, and criticizing our government for spending too much on services like childcare, health, housing, and to support people in general. I understand it is their job to criticize, and they do need to show people that they are doing their job, and but what is problematic, Madam Speaker, the confusion and lack of clarity or facts. Many people ask me this question, and they're actively asking, what is happening with BC Liberals? Why are they so wishy-washy and not able to make their mind? I'm not saying this, Madam Speaker. These are the words from people of BC. Last week, member from Surrey White Rock was speaking, and I got the message on Wednesday, February 23rd, from a constituent who happened to watch the speech, and I quote this message. Again, it's not my words, and here is the quote. I quote, "I am just laughing listening to this guy about the childcare. He has to do more homework," end quote. There is another line I won't read because I think that was a little bit too harsh, so I put that in brackets. I will show respect, so I won't read that. So people are noticing. And because members say that people talk to people. So member can heckle all they want. Previous speakers said we need to talk to people, and this is what exactly I'm sharing, and I shared 2 examples, and I'll share one more at the end about childcare. Because if you're looking for stories are around you. So when you try to discourage others not to tell the positive sides of budget and the work we've done, then I think people find to heckle, which is not the way. If you want to work, we're telling what we're doing, you tell what you are doing and what you stand for instead of taking very confusing stance, and people are confused. Member was also saying that daycare centers are closing on February 23rd again. I was so confused as my constituency of Vernon-Monashee is getting hundreds of childcare spaces, hundreds. And I had the honor to do groundbreaking, Madam Speaker, for new childcare centers in Vernon and Coldstream, along with our local leaders. In fact, one of the new ones in Vernon is close to completion and is well within the budget, and it's in the news article again if members are chuckling. Not only that, but I also got the invite to go for an opening ceremony this week, Monday, for a brand new, amazing new private childcare center. So people from that sector are also seeing the opportunity, and the owner is so grateful for the affordable our investments, and he's also opening this private daycare space. So of course they see the opportunity. Perhaps members of the BC Liberal Caucus need to do their homework and instead of heckling, as mentioned by constituents, to look around as people are noticing these confusing messages. You do that, and what just happened? Do it more. You can heckle all you want. You can heckle all you want. You had the opportunity
please
to share
address
your
the
response.
chair.
Truth is always bitter, and I understand it's hard to swallow, but that didn't deter me. Some members of the opposition say that we have not kept our promises, but according to independent study published by CBC, again in September 2022, we fulfilled over 80% promises from 2017 to 2020, just within 3 years. And again, I don't make up stuff like some members do here. I do my homework, and people know, and we have facts, and you can look it up yourself. And we continue to do more, despite having to deal with unforeseen circumstances, and we're working hard towards building a better province. Once again, people see it all. In that case, they see the desperation by sharing false information and opposition's failed attempt to relate to people. When you say one thing and stand for another, people clearly see that. And I am glad they do. People have not forgotten BC Liberals' cuts and austerity followed by massive privatization. So people, when they're listening, they find it's ironic for the same people to pretend to stand up for the same services they slashed. Healthcare is still bleeding. I would say it's still bleeding due to the decades and half underfunding, cuts, massive layoffs, and privatization, which our BC NDP government is diligently trying to fix because we're big supporters of well-supported healthcare. Member, you can heckle all you want. This is 17 years long healthcare worker who worked through those cuts. And family working in healthcare right now, we see when cuts are implemented, we see when services are added, and I have family members, daughter and husband, they're still here, seeing the difference how well when you're supported and when you're not. Others incomplete information BC Liberals are spreading to people about PST on used vehicles without sharing the details. Let me share some facts and background information so people of Vernon-Monashee know. The government is making changes to counteract tax evasions in private vehicle transactions. Starting October 1, 2022, BC will align other provinces by making change in how the PST is calculated when they declare the price is well below the expected value. The PST will apply to the higher of either the declared purchase price and the average wholesale value according to an industry standard price guide. For fairness, purchaser will also have the option to show an appraisal if their specific vehicle is worth less than average wholesale value. The change is expected to capture $15 million in tax revenue that was previously being lost to the underreporting of vehicle purchase values. This is not new tax. PST has always been on used cars. It is a change to bring us into the line with most other provinces are already doing. We're not increasing taxes on used vehicles, Madam Speaker. We are addressing issues with the underreporting of the purchase price of used vehicles from private sales. Budget 2022 clearly focused to address this many issues we have and focus on serving people. And here in the Okanagan, we are seeing lots of investments, and some investments in my riding you will hear about, but in surrounding communities you will not hear from the members of opposition, so I'll briefly touch upon. Kamloops Rural Inland Hospital. New patient care tower will better access to care for more people in community through 107 new beds and new larger operating rooms and expanded emergency department. The project will be completed in 2025. Kelowna General Hospital, an expansion to imaging facilities and new PET and CT equipment will help support shorter wait times for diagnostic imaging for patients. Again, expected to be completed in 2022. Penticton Regional Hospital, a new 6-story patient care tower, and Parkhead will include an ambulatory care center, surgical services, and new space for UBC Faculty of Medicine, expected to be completed this year, 2022. We also got new nurse practitioner in Lumbee, and I am sure that we will continue to build on the progress we're making, and my communities in Vernon-Monashee will continue to benefit from such investments. Our government have also added 602 seats for nursing courses into our post-secondary institutions, and the best option is it includes the options of bridging program. Careds can do LPN, and LPNs can bridge from to become an RN. So this will help to train nurses faster, and it will help them to grow in their profession. Not only that, Madam Speaker, BC NDP government also added 20 respiratory seats and 17 anesthesia assistant seats at TRU in Kamloops. It is no secret that once government implement cuts, secretly take away taxpayers' money from crown corporations to create illusionary balanced budget on the backs of hardworking people, system and structure then fall apart, like healthcare and other services people rely on. This comes with serious consequences. We all seen, and I have seen it firsthand. People lose lives due to these gaps in the system. Whether members of the opposition agree or not, but the reality is that historic investments to support mental health initiatives has helped a lot of people. Yes, we need to continue to build on the progress, because prior to 2017, under BC Liberal government, we had no consistent supports or investments in place. In fact, they closed Riverview Hospital's mental health facility overnight, which left hundreds of vulnerable people on the street with nowhere to go and no place to take care of them. So this is all about choices. And our government also understands the economy is only sustainable when we have healthy and thriving communities and supported society. It is not one versus the other. We know that the small and medium-sized businesses are the backbone of communities, and economy runs on the backs of workers. So therefore, we need to look after both aspects and support everyone. Madam Speaker, it is all about priorities. Our priority is people, sustainable jobs and climate action, focused on economy with equal opportunities and services. So we can continue to build stronger province by leaving no one behind. So taxes and choices, I know it was about in the past I've heard one member repeatedly about the tax on Netflix and bubbly drinks and complaining. And then I've been thinking about, if you can afford those bubbly drinks and Netflix, perhaps you can pay the tax, and that tax can be invested in services. Nobody dies without having bubbly drink or watching Netflix, but people die without having proper services. So the other thing is members don't like when we say what happened in the past and what got us where we are. I will share one example, and I can only share related to my profession. Say I worked a shift, and I forgot to give patient a very important medication at 6 p.m. before leaving, and then nurse for night shift come on at 7, and patient has serious consequences and perhaps close to dying. So the nurse is running around, having to deal with this event and trying to make this, help this patient so patient doesn't lose life. So would I be at the fault, or the nurse who's trying to clean the mess that I've left? So answer is clear. So there is no need to feel very offended. In fact, let's try to find ways to work together. So Madam Speaker, now I'll highlight that in housing sector in Vernon, there are major investments are being made. We have built and underway 460 different housing units. There are massive investments in Kelowna, Penticton, and I have all the numbers, but I won't take too much of time explaining every number of units under which category and dollar figure, but there have been progress being made. And I have been told by individuals, Madam Speaker, and stakeholders that they have never seen. And those individuals were not even historically BCNDP supporters, but they have told me that they have not seen the record number of investments in Vernon-Monashee and area, which they have seen since 2017. And they're openly talking, whether it's social media or wherever, and to personally, and it's very encouraging. So it's okay to appreciate what's done right. So post-secondary education, Madam Speaker, Kelowna Vernon Seminar as 376 new student housing. And in Vernon, it's the first ever student housing that is being built at Okanagan College, and 60 units at Seminar campus. And this project is a mass timber project that is supported through $68 million in capital funding and to be completed in 2023. Education in sector, our government has made investments in Penticton, Francophone community schools, and permanent, now families will have permanent school home for their school community. Kamloops, the replacement of Parkrest Elementary after the fire loss, with addition to 120 new spaces, which is scheduled to be completed by September 2024. Which includes neighborhood learning center with childcare spaces in the community. Kamloops is also getting additional 525 seats for students at Valley View Secondary. Kelowna, we're getting new school for 750 students, is now complete. Vernon, we had expansion of BX Elementary School. The government of BC provided $11.1 million for 240 seats addition at BX Elementary, nearly doubling the size of school. And we have made transport and infrastructure. I'm only highlighting the Okanagan region because other members have shared other investments across the province. So in Sycamus, Highway 1, R.W. Bruin Bridge, replacing the R.W. Bruin Bridge on Highway 1 in Sycamus will provide people with more reliable and safer transportation options. This project will be completed in 2025. In Chase and Seminar West, we're creating 4-lane sections of Highway 1 near both communities, is expected to be completed in 2023. Madam Speaker, I have been hearing from people since my election, as I mentioned, that they have never seen the record number of investments at this scale before 2017. And I have heard from individuals and people from different political stripes and from nonprofit organizations, stakeholders, and investors who I regularly meet. Last night, I saw a social media post from Margaret, and I quote, "The BC NDP definitely delivering on their promise of affordable, safe, quality childcare. Big win for children and families," end quote. Margaret further writes in the bracket, I quote, "Not to mention everyone else, because if we don't have a childcare, we don't have workers," end quote. At the end, I conclude my remarks, Madam Speaker, by saying thank you to the Minister of Finance and her team for their hard work, and I thank people of Vernon-Monashee for their resilience, ongoing kindness, showing great community spirit, and for giving me the opportunity to be your MLA. I also encourage all of you to contact our office if you have any questions regarding budget or any other concerns. We'll be happy to provide you factual information, and we will be happy to bust some misinformation. I would say let's unite together and stand strong for peace in the world. And take care, stay safe, stay healthy, be kind to yourself and others. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me and giving me the opportunity to speak in response of this budget. I wholeheartedly support Budget 2022. Appreciate that.